everyone, and welcome back to the 16 millimeter film crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
You can watch us on YouTube. You can like and comment on our YouTube videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are found at 16 millimeter Film Crew Podcast. And you can visit us on our website at www.16millimeterfilmcrew.com. Over the break, we watched Wicked for Good, directed by John M. Chu. Elphaba, now demonized as the Wicked Witch of the West, lives in exile, hidden within the Ozian forest, while continuing her fight for the freedom of Oz's silenced animals and desperately trying to expose the truth she knows about the wizard. Glinda, meanwhile, has become the glamorous symbol of goodness for all of Oz, living at the palace in Emerald City and reveling in the perks of fame and popularity. This movie stars Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey, Michelle Yeoh, Jeff Goldblum, and Ethan Slater. So, Dale, what did you think about part two?
Um, Substandard compared for the first one. Honest, it felt very bloated. And it felt and in my realization, I didn't read the Broadway play. Of course, I didn't watch Broadway play, and I never, of course, I've seen the original Wizard of Oz. But from my understanding of the actual book, Wicked is like it's not for kids at all. It's like
Mm.
really detailed, really graphic. Um, and I guess the Broadway production kind of just niced it up a bit. I do feel like this second Wicked for Good or Wicked Part Two, however you want to call it, felt very rushed. It felt like everything they condensed everything in as minimum time as possible in order to just hit the arbitrary part one, part two limit. I feel like comparatively, um, part one was much longer and everybody was more fleshed out. In part two, it just condensed a lot of storylines just to meet an arbitrary runtime. So
Yeah, this one it didn't do what I think it wanted to. Um, Not in terms of the numbers, but just in terms of like quality. Because, well, I watched this with my friends. And one of my friends had never seen Wicked, so we watched the first one first, and then that same night, watched the second one. So having those like back-to-back experiences, I think actually emphasized how weak the second one was, just because like I had immediately had that refresher of like what the first one was. And honestly, like it kind of felt like it didn't like it could have been placed somewhere else in the first movie. Like having a whole second movie just for this just didn't seem, I don't know, it didn't feel like it, it had any gravitas, like it had anything like working for it in terms of like why we should still be invested. And apparently the play is the same way, where it's like they know that the first half is going to be like all the good stuff and all the good songs,
yeah.
and then second half it's weaker. And I guess like if they knew that, then maybe we should have tweaked it in terms of the film adaptation. Like, let's make the set if you're gonna do a second part, like let's make that stronger to kind of balance it out, so it's not just like one great story and then like just one lackluster. Like that movie is so forgettable to me. Like I watched it maybe what last weekend, the weekend before, and I don't like even remember like the details of it for real. Like it was like very packed, very convoluted. The characters' motivations didn't make any sense sometimes. People were just doing stuff because like we have to move the plot forward. And they would like react as their character for a second and then be like, oh wait, actually I need to be here doing this other thing. So let me just change my entire mentality of like how I think about these type of things and just shift completely and so we can get to the next part of the story. Like it was very it really didn't do anything for me. And even like Cynthia Erivo, who is the best part of these movies, to be honest, like she only had like one good song that I liked.
Mm.
Um, so that was, and even the reveal of like how the characters that we knew turned into like the people in, the Wizard of Oz story, it didn't really feel like the weight of it just felt like completely nothing. Like it was like a nothing burger kind of.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's also the fact that how and of course this movie is like almost a fan fiction interpretation of the original Oz, and it's also how it adapts those parts. Of course, recasting I guess Alpha's sister and as a disabled person. And then you have Dorothy talking about, yeah, when I saw the Wicked Witch, and she was flying through the air, and then the scene we're shown is her in her wheelchair on the ground, which is really weird considering the fact that a couple scenes before we see Alpha give her shoots that make her float and fly, but they don't showcase her floating and flying before, she eventually gets crushed. So I was like, that sequencing made no sense in my head. Um, I thought stuff like the transition from, I guess, what's his name, Bog, the Tin Man, really toxic as a person, you know, and they made it a real stretch as to how he becomes a Tin Man. You know, as far as, hey, I don't like you. I really like Glinda the Good Witch. I'm just here because I'm a nice guy. And then, yeah, she's getting married. I gotta go confess my love to her and they're both toxic people. It's like, but I love you. And she's like, yeah, but I don't like you. I like her. And her anger uses her sister's spells and tries to take his heart away. And then him, being upset is like, yeah, I will do anything for Glinda. So, screw you. I'm gonna kill your sister. And I was like, y'all are both toxic. Y'all are actually low-key perfect for each other. But those leaps of, but those leaps also didn't really make sense in my head. And of course, like the cowardly lion is a lion that was trapped in his cage. It's like, yeah, she set me free, but now I can't do anything for myself. Like, how is that her fault? Like you would have been cowardly if you would have been cowardly if you stayed in the cage. Like, what are we doing here? And then of course, you know, Firo. I that's one of the parts I really wish because we didn't spend much time in seeing Elphaba and I guess Jonathan Bailey. I'm not gonna use his character's name because I can't pronounce that shit. The Prince or Scarecrow. We never really saw their relationship reach to the point where they're both mutually attracted to each other in the first one. So it kind of came out of nowhere to me. I don't know if it felt that way to you. And then the whole him turning into a scarecrow, and we kind of know he kind of turns into a scarecrow, but then him knowing that he loves Alphaba, he decides, yeah, I'm gonna go with Dorothy, and I know the wizard sucks, but I'm still gonna go with the wizard, yeah, and I'm gonna go join the mob that wants to kill the woman I love, that whole sequence, like it made no sense to me at all, and I feel like those are sequences and parts in the book that I think were fleshed out that they could have used in the movie, but they're strictly adherent to try and reach this PG rating for marketing purposes, to basically to reach younger kids. Let's be honest. And the strict adherence to try and reach that rating, I think really weakened the story they were trying to tell.
Well, I have like a couple of like main issues with this movie. I will say the production design was
Yeah,
incredible. The costume designing was fabulous. Everyone looked amazing. And again, the performances were still really good and strong. So like those elements are still there. It really was to me just like story and writing. Like that's what kind of made
disconnect.
this movie fall apart for me because this movie very much focuses on Glinda. As the first part was more Alphaba's story, now this second part is more Glinda's story. We get like more background about like her and stuff. The issue with her is that like she doesn't really have a personality, so there's not like much to pull out there. Like she was always popular as a child, and whenever she didn't get something that like she wanted, or whenever she would feel like empty or not fulfilled or whatever, like she would just get over it. Like that was
Yeah,
like there wasn't like an incentive for her to like grow or change really until she meets Elphaba. And even though she meets her and they become friends, there's this whole back and forth of her like wanting to stick to the status quo and not try to make trouble, and then also like lean into like I don't know what Alphabet teaches her about like being an individual and stuff. But like she never like gets to a point where she's like, okay, I'm either one or the other. Like I'm not gonna go fully to Elphaba because I like being popular and I like being, thought of as good and positive and whatever. And then but she also doesn't want to lead too much into that too because she's learned some lessons about life and she's grown a little bit. So it kind of made her character feel a little uneven and not complex enough for me. Like I just felt like she learned some lesson, but not really. And she was kind of leaning in, but she didn't really want to commit to that leaning in. So it was just a little kind of all over the place with her character. And I think Ariana only could I think she can only do so much with that just because it's just like, what, what is the character of Glinda ultimately? I don't
Yeah,
know. Like I still don't know, even though we spent like 2 hours with her. I have no idea. Like she walked around her ballroom in a nice pink dress, like and cried. Like I know that.
yeah,
But other than that, I don't have any more details, unfortunately. So that was kind of like, okay. So that really dragged it down. And then the reveal of these characters becoming like Fiero becoming the
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow or Bach becoming Tin Man or whatever. I was just like, really? Like that's how we're getting here. They
Yeah,
didn't show Dorothy at all. Like she was a non
factor. Mhm.
factor in this entire movie. Like they could have took her out and nothing would have changed. Like I was just like, okay, because then they were trying to like rush in that story and put that in the ending of it of like, okay, remember the Wizard of Oz? Like remember the whole thing of like why we're making Wicked? It's this story. These characters that you knew are now these people, and it's just like it was way too rushed and it kind of was nonsensical. Bach and that whole thing was so like lame. I was like, that's the only thing I can think about was just like how lame that was. I was just like, oh, really? Like they didn't seem that like interested in each other even in the first one. Like there was a
Mhm.
connection, but like we always knew that he liked Grande character. And then her Alphabe's sister was always kind of annoying. So like I never cared. Like I
Yeah.
never cared about her relationship at all. So like the fact that we had to spend so much time just to get him to be the Tin Man, which felt totally out of place to me. I was just like, whatever, man. Move on to the next song. Like I was just so done.
Mhm.
And then Fiero becoming Scarecrow, I was just like, really? Like that's what we're doing with this character? That's annoying. Because I actually liked his relationship with Elphaba. I thought that
Yeah.
was cute. Like the fact that he joins the army or whatever, whatever the Oz equivalent of that is, to protect her because he knows that they're going after her and he's trying to like protect her from dying. It's like, okay, I thought they had a cute little rapport in the beginning. They expanded it in the second one. I was like, fine, at least Elphaba gets a little love and is not like this cold, hard thing. Like she is like she's able to be like somewhat humanized in this. That's fine. But then for them to do that to his character, I was just like, boo, tomato, tomato, tomato. Like I don't care. So like that, and then also the ultimate reveal of Oz being her dad, which we already knew.
I mean,
So it
I
was just
didn't,
like
but you know,
it was that all of that story stuff really just didn't land for me at all. All the songs were like ballads, and none of them were like fun and catchy. Cynthia has one, No Good Deed, which is kind of rocky. I was like, okay, that's cool. Everyone else, whatever. Like it kind of sounded like the same song after a while, which I hate. I hate when they do that, which it makes me hate musicals sometimes. And I already don't like musicals. So like for me to have to watch that, I was kind of annoyed. And then Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum, no offense to them, not good singers at all. And Jonathan Bailey, he was struggling along too. So like that was tough because it's like because the songs were more slowed down and ballads, like you could really hear the vocal performances, and some of them were not hitting, especially when you're up against like Ariana Grande and Cynthia. Like
I mean,
it wasn't great.
yeah.
It wasn't great. So those were my issues with the movie. I just felt like this part two, and I already knew it kind of going in because everyone had already been saying that the second part of the play was not as good. So
Mhm.
I was just like, and then I heard that John had already used all the good songs in the first part. So I was like, okay, so what is the second part going to be really? Like I was already concerned.
Yeah. I mean, I think they had made like two original songs, like a song where they're the animals are like escaping, no place like home. I heard that was an original song. I mean, but for all this, like knowing that they have a deficit of songs for this movie, they could have just like fleshed out the story parts.
Mm,
Honestly, and honestly, and if you know you don't have enough songs, and okay, and you already know the second part of the play is the weakest, cool. We have part one, solid finish. Let's decide to split this up into three parts, and then at least okay, we have a certain point to get the second part right. Flesh it out. We might not have a lot of musical pieces, but we could flesh out the story there, and then the rest of the movie the same process. Instead of hard line like part one, part two. This is what we got. This is what we deal with. I felt like that was a bad idea. Um, but I don't know. This movie, it was a real letdown, and I was already going into it like not wanting to watch it anyway.
mm,
And this just solidified my view of it. And the thing is, it's not a knock on like musicals and Broadway. Like I've mentioned before many times on this, like I love theater. Me, like I literally scour the internet for like uh national theater England. Like I love watching those things. I grew up watching like old Hollywood, which is heavily musical based with my mom. So I love the genre, but I feel like I just like this does a disservice to that whole dynamic a lot.
yeah, it was just whatever. Like,
Mm,
and that's really, to me, it was disappointing because the first one is so good. Like, I
mm.
remember watching the first one, not even wanting to watch it, but watching it anyways and being like, this is fantastic. So for the second one to come out, almost just as like an obligation, like we have to do this part.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me because I was just like, it kind of felt like we're gonna make it because, there's a whole marketing infrastructure built into it. Like
Oh, it's a big marketing
it's
infrastructure.
a
Like it's a
huge
huge marketing.
it's a huge enterprise,
Yeah.
this Wicked franchise. Like it's huge. So like I understand why they did it from a like economic business like standpoint where it's just like we're gonna make as much money as we can from this as even if it's not as good, it doesn't matter. Get the girls back out there like we're doing it. But just as like a story, I don't know. It felt like kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, and I feel like what made this get pushed through is because the last couple years we've had a lot of musical adaptations that have been pushed towards, cinema. Of course, Hairspray, of course, multiple Cinderella adaptations, of course, Lin-Manuel Miranda stuff, we've of course sound the music of In the Heights, West Side Story. Of course, you've seen Chicago, Tick Tick Boom, and of course Mamma Mia. And I felt like they saw the trend of that stuff happening, and they're like, "Oh, we got it. What's the biggest one that everybody talks about?" And I do think people more talk about Wicked as far as the book than the play. Wicked is like the play gets you into it, and then the book is like, "Oh wow," kind of thing. Um, so I think that played a factor, that trend of um musical adaptations from Broadway, and they were like, oh, we got to get in on that kind of thing. So because let's be honest, we saw the success of Hamilton during the pandemic, and I think there are also talks of redoing that play as a movie as well. So I think they just saw, yeah, we got to do Wicked, and it didn't hit the way they were expecting to hit.
I like to think they should just had done the first part and then like that was it.
Yeah,
Like if you want to see both parts, go see the show on Broadway. Like I
yeah.
just kind of feel like doing two parts just doesn't really make it makes business sense, but not story sense.
Yeah. And then you were right. I think the amount of product they put, like we've had this discussion before with a lot of these movies, the main MO for a lot of it is to make money. So they push out part of the marketing and sales and everything surrounding these movies are the products they sell as far as promotion and marketing. But Wicked had like everything. You go in some stores, you see like Wicked branded like Halloween, like not like Halloween, but like skull caps or like winter, you know, Wicked branded t-shirts, pillows, like Wicked bring like I seen like phone chargers,
Hmm.
the most innocuous things, like little small like pillow pet kind of Wicked stuff. Like Wicked had like a lot of product that was made to promote and to sell. And I think that's part of the overall thing with this movie as well. It was to move
Yeah.
merch.
And also, Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, they were on Wicked Press. They've been doing this for 2 years now because
Yeah.
they started at the beginning of last year for the first movie.
Yeah.
So they did the promo for an entire year, and even that promotion, the holding space, all of that stuff, like that blew up on its own, which also aided the movie. It made people want to go see it even more. And
Mm.
so I think the people who were making the decisions around the second one was looking at that and saying, we want to replicate what we just did with that. Of course you can't, but like I think that was also part of the motivation was that like it wasn't just the stuff, it was also the actors doing whatever they were doing on that press. I still have no idea what happened on that press tour, but like apparently it was a lot. And it captured the attention of people. And so like I don't know, it's like again, I get it. I get your Warner Brothers, you want to just or Universal, sorry. What is this under?
It's universal.
Universal. You want to get as much literally suck every nice penny out of this thing. Like I understand like, on that side of it, I would also probably be doing the same thing. It's just like we could have had a better story. That's all I'm asking for. And it
Yeah.
just was not, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, there are clearly signs that there was lacking, and they just ignored all of them and said, "Fuck it,
Hmm.
let's go through this." Um, and you mentioned something, the Wicked promo tour. Like this whole promotional tour between Ariana and Cynthia has been like the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
It's been, there's been so much stuff that has come out of just these two people. Like
Yeah,
with her and Ethan Slater and the whole cheating thing, that was one thing. And then like how they look because they lost so much weight, and then that's been a whole other thing. And someone tried to attack Ariana Grande on the red carpet, and Cynthia like body checked them. So like it was just like the messiest girls that you knew in high school are Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, and they are now on the red carpet selling you this movie. They're gonna sound great, but they're gonna be messy. And it's just like, okay, well, okay. I mean, it's a good marketing strategy. Like, just be insane. Like, to be honest, and I think that that's a whole different discussion. Maybe we could talk about this at another time. But like recently, when it comes to like how you sell movies, it really is like just upping the antics.
yeah.
Like
My
Timothy Chalamet just running around New York City being crazy, like that is helping promote this movie. Like it's like you just
like
have to be the most outrageous, unhinged person on earth in order to get people to go watch your movie now. And that just feels I don't like how that feels.
disgenuine. Like my girl,
Yes.
like they were doing an interview outside, and a helicopter flies by, and Cynthia just breaks down, and starts crying, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what is wrong with like? Let's dissect that for a bit, and then I think all their interviews have been like overly emotional, where like they break down and start crying to the point. I think there was an interview Ariana did, and she was by herself, and she was like, she started breaking. I was like, oh, I just love everybody here, and dude was like, you don't know who these people are. And then she just you see her like her break like oh I'm in character but it's not working and she like pauses and I was like this press run has been like the weirdest thing like and like they all look emaciated like
Yeah, and
from not
it's
even just Cynthia and Ariana Grande like even like
Michelle Yeoh looks
Michelle
rough too
Yeoh
now.
like
Yeah.
no mm.
I don't
when
know what
when
that's called, the
when the
Ozempic
weird
special.
when the weirdest person in your cast Jeff Goldblum looks normal compared to everybody else you have a problem okay you have a problem. So, yeah.
It's been that to me has been its own. It's like the attention economy. Like
Yeah.
that's what selling your movies are now.
Yeah.
Like before in the 90s, it was just like Harvey Weinstein had to be a part of it. May he burn in hell. But you
To
know what I mean?
just to
Like
get money to get it done, you know. Yeah.
I don't know. It's that's a whole other thing, but it's just like actors and how they promote their films. It's just weird now because
Yeah.
before it's just like you sit down in a room for 10 hours and you do a whole bunch of interviews and you're fine.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, let's play games, let's play with the dogs and let's play with the cats. Like, let's have fun there. Now it's just like ride a bike on the red carpet. Like, just I don't know, replicate the person who you're playing's like fashion sense. Like, break down and cry in every single interview you do. Like, just do that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like now it's become a thing where it's like this is what you have to do in order to sell a movie. Like, I think everyone is starting to like understand the playbook. And
Yeah.
I don't think I like that because it's
No.
just because to me it's just like it's antics. Like it's
I
not it
mean,
has nothing to do with the
I
movie
I I get the part
for
like the
me.
whole BuzzFeed style interviews where you're like, oh,
Yeah, like to me
who
that's
who's who in
fine.
the cast,
Yeah,
who's in the
I'm fine
group
with that.
message, who bakes cookies, who talks
I'm
to
watching
everybody.
those things.
That's cool, that's cool. But the theatrics that they were going on with, and the thing is, they weren't doing any of those saying like, oh, here's an interview where you're holding a puppy. They weren't doing those cute stuff, or
Right.
the things where, oh, which cast member, you call them anytime they'll pick up. They weren't doing those. It was just them, like
Hmm.
Ariana and Cynthia, just being like weirdly emotional for like no reason, you know. Yeah,
I'm not whatever.
yeah,
It's over now. It's done. The wicked stuff is done.
yeah,
Pray to God that it's over.
yeah. Like, yeah, short version of this, like costuming, production, visuals, everything amazing.
Hmm.
Story writing, lack of songs, and the chicanery of your two lead stars on the press tour, making a downturn, But yeah. So it is what it is. It looks like John Chu's now become the guy. Hey, you want to do a musical adaptation? You hire him for some reason.
Oh, he's doing another musical?
I mean, he did. What was the one he did before?
I thought you just said Crazy Rich
He
Asians.
did Crazy Rich Agents. Yeah,
That's not a musical.
yeah. I mean,
It's
maybe
not a
it's not
musical.
a musical. You're
It's
right.
not
You're
a
right.
musical.
You're right. I mean,
It was a
he
good
did.
movie
He
though.
did
It's
In the
fine.
Heights. He did Step Up. He did a Step Up to the Streets. So,
Oh, okay. So I guess he's a musical guy.
so yeah,
I guess
yeah,
that's him.
yeah. So, a quick little box office update. So, of course, we understand that the industry was looking for a bit of a hit with the Thanksgiving, weekend holiday. And it seems as though it has been a success. Of course, the litmus test for the year was, Zootopia. But over the whole Thanksgiving weekend, the industry made about $300 million over a 5-day frame. And of course, over the actual weekend, about $2 million. Um, but still, the record for that 3-day total weekend was 424 million. Well, Zootopia 2 and Wicked, of course, for good, were the strongest runners the strongest performers. The rest of the movies kind of didn't do as well. Of course, the overall box office numbers have kind of slipped. And the year to year is kind of averaging out. But next week, of course, you have Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and Avatar Fire and Ash to take over the Christmas time. But the biggest thing was Zootopia 2 did prove that, the China is still a valuable space for Hollywood. It had the biggest animated opening for a non-local film, and it had the largest single day grossing for a Hollywood film ever, with like Saturday Sunday totaling into $104 million, and it was just already named the fourth highest grossing animated film of all time in China after 5 days. So it proves that, China can still be a massive box office success for the right IPs. Um, but that's not the norm, it's the exception. A lot of other movies have cracked 100 million this year. Um, but the issue is studios are spending almost 500 million plus on local marketing while just only keeping 25% of the ticket sales compared to most markets. Even Jurassic World and Mission Impossible have seen returns drop to what they were before, even pre-pandemic. Of course, Zootopia is the most popular franchise right now in China, but that doesn't really break the trend. The next biggest test for that litmus will also be Avatar 3, which is Avatar Fire and Ash, and see how that performs, whether, tentpole projects can really sustain really well in foreign markets. It also helps that Zootopia is like I said, it's animated film. It's not really dominated with Western actors. So, and it really helps in the localization of projects like that.
Okay, in our next story, award season shifts into high gear with a handful of major awards revealing their winners in the next 7 days. So the Oscar race is ramping up. These early picks rarely predict the eventual Oscar winner. They set the tone for which films enter the conversation with serious heat. So the Gotham Awards were yesterday. They used to only recognize films under $35 million, but they ditched that cap in 2023, opening the door for bigger studio films to compete alongside true indies. And one battle after another took home Best Feature. New York Film Critics Circle will be tonight. National Board of Review will be tomorrow. The Los Angeles Film Critics Association will be on the 7th. And the Film Independent Spirit Awards, those nominations are coming out tomorrow as well. And the Critics' Choice Awards will come out on the 5th. But looking ahead, history shows patience pays off. The race doesn't truly take shape until the Guild weighs in come January.
Yeah.
So I guess these award shows really are just kind of setting, the stepstones for like where we'll end up in January, in terms of like who will win. We're starting to see certain movies move in the to the front, and while others move a little bit in the background. Some of the conversations that you've probably heard about certain films for during film festivals might not be involved in these certain in these conversations when we talk about nominations, but some that you might never have heard of will be. So it's just an interesting, like I was looking at the winners of the Gotham Awards yesterday. It was like a real interesting mix of people. Like movies I had never heard of, directors and actors I have never heard of. The movies that were kind of like pushed as like these will be nominated. Some of them were, but
Yeah.
not all of them. Not even a lot that I expected to. So it'll be interesting this year, I think, to see like what ends up being kind of in those big tentpole award shows next year, because I don't think it'll be what people expect.
Yeah, and it's also remember a lot of these award shows and critic awards also kind of have really some of them have really niche scopes and some of them don't. Like the National Board of Review, I was reading a report that said a lot of the movies they pick don't really go up for awards. So,
Mm,
they're not and the Oscars and stuff tends to go based on popularity to a degree. Like I think New York and LA, they tend to be more aligned on what the Academy would pick, given the larger swath of course, New York and LA are America's film, hubs for the most part. So they kind of do acquiesce a bit more in line as far as what the Oscars view, mostly because New York is usually headquarters for a lot of the companies, uh, TV or terrestrial networks, while LA is their hub for all their studio stuff. So those two critic circles, I tend to lean on them a bit more as the preview as you come forward to Oscar season.
yeah.
Moving on to that. What is this one? So moving on to that, of course. So we have a lot of, movies and shows being picked up as far as being options, for films. Um, we have like these are the next upcoming projects and lists. Of course, everybody knows about the popularity of Helldivers. That's being adapted to a movie with Justin Lin tapped to direct. Of course, if you're a Fast and Furious fan, you're familiar with Justin Lin. Jordan Peele and Sam Raimi are set to co-produce a film called Portrait of God for Universal. You have, uh, Sony Pictures has inked a deal for Simon Sharkowski and Daniel Brooks for an untitled series so far. Yeah, so we have a lot of stuff coming in the next couple of days as far as what to expect as far as stuff coming out. Um, Netflix also I don't know if you watched the film Adolescence. They've reteamed with director film Barnyarny to adapt the series Eat the Rich into a series. And, the biggest thing for me, of course, and this is in light of the news of what Warner Bros. Is doing going forward as far as their merger or their buyout. Their business affairs chief, Stephen Supra, left the company after 4 years. So that's probably the first iceberg to go as far as the direction Warner Bros. Will be taken with their current move.
Okay, so let's talk about what we've been watching.
Over Thanksgiving weekend, along with, partaking in Wicked for Good, I finally sat down. Well, I didn't just finally sit down. I watched the first couple episodes of Stranger Things with my cousins. Um, I enjoy it to a degree, but it's really odd seeing like the show is supposed to be like every season is supposed to be like a year, I'm guessing, from the last one, and you have like 20-plus-year-old Millie Bobby Brown doing parkour when you're in your head she's supposed to be like 14, 15. Like those things, Lucas's hair, like Hollywood has a horrible thing with black people in hairstyles. Like my man lineup is horrible. And they kind of had way of it. Yeah, Hawkins is under lockdown, so he can't go to the barber. Who was cutting my man's hair before? Like, what's up with that? Um, but of course, along with watching that, I finally watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and I could see the mass. Understand now the massive appeal that it had last year, but to me, it comes off as like baby's first K-drama.
Mm.
So, if you're versed in watching K dramas, you can kind of see why I would describe it like that. But just catching up on trends that everybody's been watching for the past couple of years, to be honest. So,
Well, most like I guess most people. I guess yeah, I guess anyone who cared about Stranger Things, which I feel like is a lot of people. I
yeah,
also watched the the first part of the fifth and final season. Sorry, there's like three parts to this thing. So
yeah,
like the first part that came out on Thanksgiving, watched that. I am I what I like about these kinds of big shows where it's like a lot of people are like excited about it and like there's a lot of lore and a lot of attention and stuff. I like that it feels like an event, and I like that it feels like something that we can all like equally nerd out over. Um, and I have the same feeling with this because I wasn't really as locked in to the Stranger Things stuff, honestly, until like a few days before it came out is when I kind of locked back in to that fandom, even though I love the show. But I have the same feeling that I had when I was watching Severance, when I was watching Game of Thrones when it was, good. And it's like I like the feeling of like, oh my God, they're like trying new things and they're taking things up in another level. And like, what does that mean? And what's the lore behind that? And like really getting into like the nitty gritty. That's why I like sci-fi and fantasy because there's like a lot of stuff to explore within those things. And I really enjoyed that this is a show that was like basically just like nostalgia like for the 80s, but the characters are so central to the story and like you really enjoy the characters and they're able to like bring people in and out and it still feels like authentic to the world. Um and there are certain characters that I loved in the beginning who I don't really care for anymore, and then there's other characters who I wasn't really thinking about who I'm obsessed with now. So I actually like that over these 10 years, things have switched in and out. Don't love that it's taken this long for us to get these episodes, but I totally understand why.
hmm
And yeah, I think the fact that I mean, to be honest, they still look like kids. They don't look that old. Like you can still tell that these are people who are like in their early 20s. Like they don't look that old. And a lot of people in their 20s play teenagers. So
yeah.
it's not that off-putting to me. I thought it was going to be worse, and it's actually not that bad.
hmm
I will say that whoever did Lucas's wig, it's abysmal.
The horrible.
Like that's a really bad wig.
My,
And you're right.
yeah,
Hollywood has a really bad, they don't know how to like do black hair anyways, but they really don't know how to do black wigs.
yeah. I mean, and the worst part of the Stranger Things is, I think, season five. Like I said, they split it up to part one, part two, and a movie. The budget for this total budget for season five, I think, is a 480 million.
And when you look at the behind the scenes, you can see why.
Yeah,
Like they're doing a lot of
yeah,
stuff. Like, and it actually makes a lot of sense why it takes so long to get these things out. Because I was watching the behind the scenes, because again, nerding out, and
yeah.
like the amount of stuff that they're fitting into like one shooting schedule, I think I would have a mental breakdown if I had to do that. Like there's so many things going on because you have so many characters in different places, and sometimes you're working with, right side up, sometimes you're working with upside down, and then you have all these creatures, and there's a lot of more action in these like as the seasons have gone on, the action has ramped up. So like you have
Yeah.
to account for all that stuff. Like it looks great. I will
Mm.
if you watch episode 4, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
But
Those
episode 4 looked good.
shots
Yeah.
on point.
Episode 1 kind of was like when they're on top of the tower. I was like, that's some
Yeah, I was
bad
like, okay,
VFX.
so y'all
Yeah.
didn't
This
put any
wasn't
money into that.
this
But we'll
wasn't
talk about
composited.
Stranger Things
Yeah.
fully when we get to that next week. But like, anyways, that was just one of the things that I watched, along with most people, I think.
Yeah.
But also because I was like watching Stranger Things, I wanted to watch the movie that Finn Wolfhard did with Jesse Eisenberg. I think it was Jesse Eisenberg's first movie that he had directed,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. And it's called When You're Finished Saving the World, and he did that with Julianne Moore.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine, but like it was an interesting subject matter, and I think that I liked that Jesse chose like for his first movie to talk about that, about like a woman who is like in charge of a women's shelter, like
Mm-hmm.
she's dealing with like a lot of battered women and stuff, and she's like having difficulty connecting to her teenage son, whatever. So like, but it was an interesting subject matter. I thought that was good. I liked how it was shot, and I think that like um Julianne Moore is a really interesting actress. Like
Very.
the things that she does, I'm just like, huh. I would never think to like she makes choices. Like she really be making choices with these things. Like I'm like, okay, I guess this is who the character is. I don't know. But like that was interesting. And it was nice seeing Finn like in something else in Stranger Things
Yeah.
because I didn't watch the Ghost Hunters movie. I'm not watching that stuff.
No, not doing that.
Um so and I thought he did a good job, but he was still playing a teenager, so like it'll be interesting to see what he does now that he's an adult and not doing Stranger Things anymore. And then I watched this first. I watched Jane Fonda in Five Acts, which is the documentary she did a couple of years ago. She has lived a fascinating life. Um, and I didn't realize how like prolific of an actress she is. Like the stuff that she made was like very like groundbreaking. Like she made a movie called Clute, which was in like the early 70s where she plays a sex worker.
Hmm.
And I don't even think that like movies like that were like getting greenlit. Otherwise, like I maybe because it was like her, they were like, okay, yeah, we'll do it now. And the 70s was like it was all part of the like revolutionary, like we're changing how we're like what kind of movies get made now. Um, but she also made a movie called Coming Home, which was about the veterans like from Vietnam coming home. And that was like right, that had to be maybe a couple years post the Vietnam War finishing. So it was like very timely. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like I don't know, like I think the stuff that she was able to make because she was so famous, like was very, I think she made some really interesting choices. She did center men in a way that I think she's still grappling with because like her whole personality would change when she was like with a guy. So, and listen, like so many people have been there, so there's no judgment. I think it's actually really interesting for her to like explore all that stuff and explore the mistakes that she had made along the way. Like maybe she wasn't like as present as of a mother to her worst daughter or whatever. Like it was very interesting to like learn about her life because she has lived like a full life, like activism, advocacy, making really interesting movies, like just like it's very interesting her life. Like she is a nepo baby, but like she has the chops. Like I have no issue with that because like the only movie that I had known her from when I first was encountering her was Monster in Law with Jennifer
Hmm.
Lopez. Like that's all I knew her from really. And then I knew her as like an older actress. She did like Grace and Frankie and stuff like that. But like what she had done before, I think she had done a lot of really cool, interesting, important stuff before. And I like that, like, I don't know. I feel feel like acting and activism used to be much more entwined. A lot of performers used to be much more involved in the issues of the day. And to see where we're at now, where it's like nobody wants to really talk about this stuff, and if you do, you can get fired. Or, it's just such a weird, different world that we're living in. But
They're worried about their pocketbooks, you know.
yeah, or you're like dropped by your agency if you talk about Palestine. Like it's really things have changed dramatically in some aspects for sure in this business. But yeah, she's an interesting woman, and that was a really insightful like watch. I highly recommend. I do actually recommend people watch that. It is good. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all we did. Oh, and I also watched like a bunch of Stranger Things interviews because I was obsessed. I was